mixed cooking school in Chandler. Cooking school. All right.
Wow.
I love to cook. So, oh, hey, let me share some news here. Caitlin McCaig could not make the show we were on last night because she is a little busy. Congratulations, Caitlin. She had a baby boy on Friday, and the baby boy's name is, she sent it to me here, Lennon James McCaig. So, congratulations to
It's
her.
a pretty solid
And
name.
yeah, I thought that was pretty cool. So, congratulations to Caitlin. And we like to, in this YouTube community, just, try to dispel the rumor that real estate agents are just enemies. So it's nice to see a lot of people from the industry get on YouTube. But anyway, so let's get right to it here. I put in the title, that they're wrong, right? And you've heard us talk a little bit about um, the news is always running about 60 days late. On a good day, they're only running 30 days late. But this one here, housing market reality check, home prices decreasing in the Phoenix area. Jackie pointed this one out to me yesterday. I pulled it up. So they are correct, but it's old information. Now, how much are they decreasing? Well, here we are, Pat. Now, you're the chart expert. Is this up or down?
Well, it looks up, increasing to me.
Okay. Okay. Now, because you're the one with the, you know, economics degree here, so I'm defaulting to you. But it's not really their fault. It's just that they're going off after old data, and but it gets kind of interesting here. And they say, um, you know, the metro area is now dipping into the red according to the latest S&P CoreLogic Case Shiller indices released April 25th. So they're looking at January numbers, which were contracts written in November and December. And but then it goes on, and this gets kind of funny. If you drive, you'll notice for sale signs popping up across the valley, but we know prices just aren't as high as they used to be. Who are they quoting? That I don't see for sale signs popping up across the valley. But here's the interesting part. I'm going to push back a little on this one. It's been up for about 3 weeks now, give or take, said Laura Scott, who's trying to sell her home in Sun City West, adding that it has a lot to offer. Her home has a lot to offer. It's a fairly open floor plan. There are new vents in there, she told ABC 15. Says they've been getting a lot of activity on the listing, but still no offer, even weeks after it's listed. What do you think the problem is, Pat?
The vet, no, I don't know.
Yeah,
I'm
bad
waiting.
price. People love the house, but that's it. When asked if she would take an offer below the asking price, she replied, "Well, depends on the offer." Well, you also have to understand that that Sun City West and the season they're slowing down.
Yeah,
So
they're going down. People are leaving
yes.
Sun City.
So, but once again, here's a television station that jumps on the headline and just, I mean, there's Case Shiller is showing some numbers that were down for January, and they were. I'm not disputing that, but they're up now. So what do? They go out and find somebody at Sun City West that's struggling to sell her home, and there's their expert.
That's like going to Brainerd, Minnesota in the middle of January. It's 40 below. It's like homes are just not selling today.
Well, the headline ought to be her home isn't selling, but damn it, the kitchen has new vents.
There's always a story behind the story.
There's always a story behind the story. Here is the Crawford Market Index again, showing that everybody's going up. Buckeye's still below 100, and Queen Creek's creeping up there a little bit. But it's saying for the third week running, we have 17 of the 17 cities showing improvements for sellers over the past month. Now, we had Tina on last night, and she was saying that, that this is our season. So it'll start slowing down in the summertime. But the CMI is based on the supply and demand ratio. So if there's fewer supply, but there's still adequate sales, and we're seeing that here, 7-day moving average, you can see that the red line, now I changed it to red instead of yellow because it was getting kind of hard to see. It's actually gone above new listings by 10 homes. So, the sales have gone up. You can see right here. number of
Mm-hmm.
new contracts that we have. So, and that's being reflected here in the CMI. Now, here is the problem here. Here's the number of listings under contract. You can see it, that's continuing to go up, right? Week after
Mm-hmm.
week. In fact, she said that we went up kind of a record amount last week. I can't remember the number that she
Yeah,
said.
you did. Yep.
But here's the real telltale thing. And let's see if I can make this a little bit bigger here for guys like me with old man eyes. Don't see, it always does this. Let's make a chart here that makes sense. Okay. If you look here, I don't want that thing in the way. Down here where it says April, we have 5,000. In March, we had 7,903 new listings. So far in April, 5,532. But then you go back to last March, we had 10,000 new listings. This March, we have 7,903. And that lower trend is continuing throughout the valley. And the seller's market is in full effect, that's for sure. Why are builders still giving out incentives and rate buy downs, but home sellers for existing homes have stopped concessions for the most part? Do they just have to move the spec homes quicker? It's not that they have to. Keep in mind the builders are still competing with each other, I think. So when we look at that, Shea Homes, sell their homes instead of Meritage Homes. So they're competing with each other, and the market's brisk enough that they can do that. And I think for the most part, seller incentives are starting to drop down, but they're still seller concessions running about 43%, I think, when I checked this morning. So
Can I ask you a question?
yeah,
You
I
from
won't
a
answer it, but
Yeah, be a real estate agent. It just seems to me that this is maybe an obvious question, but would you say that the when it comparatively speaking, new homes versus resale, that market they're just two different markets.
they are.
Because you got the seller, you got new homes. Let me just finish my, the train's still going down the track here, so it hasn't stopped at the station yet. So, but they, you got new home sales where, you got the companies, Lennar Homes. They've got quarterly numbers that they have to hit, and they give different incentives based on how their volume is going out the door too, right? And you've got a resale that they don't really have to consider all that stuff. From a lending perspective, it's just a totally different market.
yeah, I think you hit it on the head when you said they have quarterly goals that they have to hit it's too bad that our bookkeeping system in the United States is set up quarterly. I think it should be biannual. You imagine how much money corporations could save if they didn't have to spend all this staff and expenses every 13 weeks compiling
Yeah,
numbers. I know
true.
when I was in the corporate world, just you got out of the meeting and then you're planning for the next 2 quarters, putting your sales plan together, and then you're analyzing it. It's just a vicious circle to say, can you give me 6 months and we'll see how it works? But
Yeah. It seems like the
so
incentives, the incentives think the incentives go up and down? I would think that they go up and down based on the fact. Obviously we have a supply problem, but it just seems as though it's like, hey, we've got these homes, we've got to unload them before the quarter.
Well, I think it depends on the neighborhood and the actual development, because I think you're going to see there's some developments that go, whoops, we're running a little rich right now, got too many listings. And you go down the street and they might be pretty lean. So obviously, the one that's got too much inventory is going to be having some incentives, and the one that's closer to the market's not going to have to do it as much. But
Mm-hmm.
but you pointed out some interesting stuff in rates. Now, the PCE came out today, right? Did it have
Yeah.
an impact?
No, it actually it was down. It rose zero point 0.1 in March. It was, I guess, the estimates were like 0.3%. So obviously year over year it declined. It said the index declined from, this is what Barry said, 5.1 to 4.2, and so it's 0.2% better than the market estimate. So we had a good day on the bond market. The 5.5 coupon was up 25 basis points. The 10-year Treasury was down 9 basis points. So it seems as though, once again, we kind of peaked here short term, March 3rd, and we're seeing this this battle now. Like obviously rates have come down, and we're kind of building in this channel right here between we saw a low of like 326, and so the market reacted very positively today. Not it was kind of acted positive, but in a kind of a subdued way. Um, during the day, you'll see some crazy trading within one day. Like today, it was up 25 basis points, but then it was kind of flat. It started out positive and went flat, then it came back positive again. So you can see intraday pricing changes, you know, of eighth of a point sometimes when you get positive runs in these rates. But Barry just feels like inflation is coming down. That we've got the Case Shiller, these numbers that the Fed are still looking at they're still looking behind in the past, and so I mean the bonds are there's some stabilization here, which is nice.
Good. We don't need any volatility because when they stay steady, we see sales kind of also staying steady, whether it's steady high or steady
Yep.
low. We got to thank you. Closed on a home today in Tucson. I was tired of sitting on the side and started watching videos and made the leap. Well, good for you. Congratulations. I hope it's the
Oh,
home you wanted. So that's good to hear. And um, and then we got a congrats here too from Marcus. That's awesome. Cut the noise and do what's right for you. Absolutely.
yep,
Well,
exactly.
you showed me a chart earlier before the show that it's really easy to see the correlation between when rates went down and sales went up.
Yeah, let me just blow this up for you if I can. Here's the existing home sales and then pending home sales. We saw this spike, right? Well, let's just correlate that to rates here. Well, give me 1 second here. But here we go, right here. This was rates were going up. So it just goes to show you once again, we saw this spike of people. Would you say that's a people trying to get in before rates go even higher?
Well, the pending home sales declined pretty rapidly
Yeah. Well, I
in
mean, yeah, you're right. But I mean,
March.
but there is some correlation, wouldn't you say?
Well, sometimes you see sales pick up briefly when rates are rising because people are trying to run for the exits.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
mean, we do see some of that, and so it's hard to say that it would be sustained. I mean, that the chart that you're showing me there, I think that indicates people came back to the party when we got down below 6 for a while there.
Yeah. Right in here.
Yeah.
And like I said, we're kind of stuck in this. You look at the overall. I'm pushing out a year here. I mean, you're kind of seeing. There was some pressure back in October is when we hit the kind of the peak, but we've had some. We're kind of stuck in this whole channel right here, the last 7-8 months.
Well, May 10th is coming, and everybody's the Fed survey, 93% are saying 0.25 rise.
Yeah,
But
I
that's
think.
already in these numbers.
Yeah, that's already in. It's already baked in. I think Barry feels that they're going to raise a quarter and then pause and see what's happening. But I still think, you know, there's still a lot of news like this mortgage. There was an article in this talking about. I don't know if they've got it here, but like I said, right here, this title: "Stronger Today, Sideways in General," and it says here, housing rates having a tough time finding momentum. It's just they're talking about the channel. You can see this channel that rates are kind of building here in this range. So, but they're talking about how the fact that I still think that there probably are banking issues down the road.
Well, we're seeing some of that unravel today. There's one, I can't remember the name of that one bank, but
First Republic,
yeah, I mean, the stock is like 80 cents, I think something. It's
yeah, that's right.
pretty low. Did you see that article on, there's these two Russian pranksters that they call leaders
Yeah,
all around the world, and
they call Powell.
yeah, they called Powell pretending they were Zelensky from Ukraine. And this
That
is
wasn't
back in,
me. That wasn't me. That
wasn't
wasn't
you.
me.
And it was in January. And he basically told him, yeah, well, we're going to have 2 more hikes. And then that's probably about it. That's what he said in January. And of course, he doesn't tell us that, but he tells these, and there are these jokers on the other end. That's very interesting, Oh, it reminded me of that time that the guy called.
Yeah.
Well,
Adam Schiff. We have
yeah, yeah, called Adam Schiff. He's got naked pictures of Trump. And then the guy that called during the OJ chase and said that he was in the car next to him or something like that. He was, I don't know. He was he
Well,
called.
that's what's kind of scary about Chat GPT because you can actually fake somebody's voice. Can you imagine, somebody getting on the phone with Biden, saying, "Hey, this is Chairman Powell. Here's what we're going to,"
Yeah, I read some of that stuff yesterday. Where Chat GPT, you can train it to, for your own voice.
Yeah.
But I haven't seen one where I can. I tried to find one that was, pick up a voice from an actor and try to do that, but I couldn't do it. I was going to have some fun with that. I like doing that when people call me and let me know my social security card's been stolen or they want
Yeah.
to sell me another home warranty. Now, the biggest thing that makes my phone ring is, that you can get $26,000 per employee. It's like, I don't have employees. Look at this though. Lennar to build hundreds of affordable entry-level homes across Metro Phoenix. It's about time. So what are they building? Well, they right now their homes sell for an average of 515,000. They're introducing a more affordable home design that starts in the low 300s. That's good news. It's a new series called Premier Homes, addressing the need for first-time home buyers at a time when mortgage interest rates are keeping many potential homeowners in rental units. The goal is to offer homes where the monthly mortgage payments are in the 2,000 to 2,500 range, which is what most renters are paying right now. So they'll be interesting. They aren't stripped down homes, they said. So they look fairly decent from the photos that they're showing here. So
Yeah.
another thing, I hope more builders take this as an example.
Yeah.
And Lennar could be moving a few of those. I wanted to ask you about this too. I saw this Fed Now instant payments. Now, you're reading a lot and hearing a lot about, the Fed's going to a digital currency. And there's a lot of misconceptions about what that is, including I had some at the beginning too. But the more you look into it, what they're looking at, the digital currency that they're looking at putting together is designed to speed things up. Because right now you take your card and you swipe it through MasterCard, right? Or Safeway. And then it goes into a central processing house. And then it takes time to go to the bank account where it's supposed to go. Well, when the digital currency comes in, that'll be instant. And they're going to have a program now called Fed Now for housing that when they push the button, you're paid. So instead of waiting a few hours for the money to transfer, that's so but the title companies are a little nervous about it because it happens so quick that if somebody gets into that situation that you warned us about last week, there's absolutely no time for recourse. They
It's kind of scary.
can't stop the payment. So while it's convenient, yeah, I don't know if these don't look like they're going to be 3D homes, but that's coming as well. So anyway, that keep a close eye on this. It's called Federal Reserve's Fed Now Instant Payment System. Looks to be making that dream a reality. However, before one gets too excited, the title insurance industry is asking if it's really worth sacrificing security for speed.
Yep.
Good point. So, and then let it also be a reminder now that if you are asked to wire money when you get that email, do not wire that money until you're on the phone with the title company and you're reading that number back to them, because fraud is going to be rampant in situations like this.
Yeah, very rampant, very rampant.
And and then AI, that's one of the dangers of AI now too. I mean, think how quickly that they can design an email that looks like it's from a title company.
I know.
And, and it's, I've only messed around with AI when it comes to just, it's interesting. I saw an artificial intelligence thing that helps you write listing descriptions. And I thought, well, that's cool till I looked at it. And you had to put in all this information. By the time you get in putting in the information, you could have easily written a listing description. It was all these little boxes, you know, number of bedrooms, number of bathrooms. Tell me about the neighborhood. You put all this stuff and then you submit it and it writes you a nice description, but it doesn't save you any time. Hi, Jane. Jane says, look up Tom May best prank call ever. That's what I do with prank caller. I'm going to take you up on it. I have more fun with that. I got a hold of a guy that said that my Social Security had been stolen.
Well, you remember you taped me, you sent me that voicemail.
Yeah, I had him on for 14 minutes. And
Yeah.
he said that my car was in Houston with $100,000 and 30 pounds of coke.
Yeah.
And I just had, I said, how do I get the coke back? I go, I said, it's missing. And the car warranty people are great. I've never had a car guarantee before. But, so anyway, we're just saying, we're making fun of it, but be careful because you can really get yourself in a pinch. Now I'm looking at our active listings and what did Tina say yesterday? We're actually going to have some negative numbers coming out in, I think new listings compared to last year.
Yes.
But we're continuing to slide at a time where this should start turning around and coming back up the closer we get to summer. So, we're going down. We're going down. She said something like 50 a day. And so that needs to start turning around to give us any kind of relief in the summertime in pricing, at least. If this keeps going down and our level of contracts we're writing every week stays where it's at, which I doubt by the time you get to June, you're going to see us going back up about 1% a month. Stephanie says rates may go higher, 30 BP increase early May. Inflation CPI reduction not as expected, and unemployment rose slightly. They're not killing enough jobs, Stephanie, and that's what they want to do. It's a shame that the only way that they could slow inflation is to lay people off, but that's certainly
Peter Schiff had from Euro Pacific Assets yesterday. I was watching the business news, and he's saying that these job creations, which I said this several months ago, they talk about creating jobs. They're creating jobs in the service industry, the hospitality, but the jobs that are being let go, the Microsofts, the Googles, those have been knocked out. And like Peter Schiff said, he goes, jobs might be increasing, but a lot of people, they get laid off at, just make an example, they get laid off at Google. All of a sudden, they've got to get 2 or 3 other part-time jobs to fill in. And
yeah.
There seems to be some underlying weakness there that, and once again, I don't think the Federal Reserve and this administration is going to tell us exactly what's going on straight up until we're going to have to dig it up ourselves. And I think
you always find out in the rearview mirror.
Yeah, and I think Paul. Once again, the last 2 or 3 years, these guys have not proven to Barry or listen to Barry and myself. I believe this, that they haven't proven to be very correct.
That's a polite way to put it.
Yeah, and I think this, once again, I touched on this a couple of weeks ago. This target of having 2%, it's an antiquated number from about 25, 30 years ago. And I think that's going to, I'm going to put $1 on it that they're going to come out and say, you know what, they're going to change. I bet I'm going to put $1 on it and say they're going to change their inflation target to a little bit higher, because
I think they will too. And I also, kind of agree with Keto here that, inflation does more to solve debt than anything else. But the problem is that, and we've said this before, you've got the Fed saying, well, we're trying to pull back. We're trying to pull back. And the Treasury spending like a drunken sailor. So you can't, it's like, we're going to get our household budget in order, Pat. So we need to cut back. And but we gave the kids our credit cards, right? So, you and your wife are cutting back spending, but the kids
Yeah.
are going out and spending all the money on the weekends. You're not
Well, it's,
getting anywhere. It's getting worse.
it's perfect. It's a perfect example. A husband, the wife is, conservatively, she's conservative, monetarily, and then you get the husband, who's going out and ramming up, the credit cards. That doesn't work. That's a very simple story, the way to put it. That's the way they've been doing it.
Yeah, yeah. Well, a trillion here, a trillion there, pretty soon it adds up to be real money. So,
Yeah.
and the consumer numbers that you're seeing out there, consumers are not pulling back. There's still a lot of spending going on. Just take a weekend trip to Costco.
Yeah. Yeah.
You don't need, so they're between a rock and a hard place. And then now it's even worse because if they raise rates too much again, we're going to have more of a banking crisis. So, while housing seems to be showing some incredible resilience through this, there's a lot of things spinning around out there that we need to watch carefully. And there's always something, there's always something that can mess things up.
Yeah.
Well, Pat, I hope you have a fantastic weekend. We want to thank our millions and millions of viewers. And I'm going to put a link in the description below when this is done for the show that we had last night. It's about 30 minutes. And I recommend you take a look at it because it was really informative. We got a couple comments here. One, do you think the new rules in FHFA that punish borrowers of good credit will discourage potential buyers from making a home purchase? No, I don't think so.
No, I don't really think so. I mean, it's just going to be, it's just an added pain in the butt. It's kind of why, it's kind of baked in. And I think overall, it's kind of like that pimple that keeps popping up, and it's irritating, but it's there, but
Well,
you're still going to go on the date.
the problem is they're just adding more layers of confusion in the lending industry. And
Yeah.
the news, I saw one newscaster, and she was so far off and way off on this thing. Everybody's liking to really concentrate that they're taking from the rich and giving to the poor, and it really doesn't do anything on the lower tier to help much, maybe $40. But she made a comment that just, maybe I was driving, almost drove out the road. She goes, she says, this is just terrible. She said, because now you might not want to sell your house because the person that wants to buy it doesn't have good credit. I'm like, what? I mean, that's for the lender to figure out.
Yeah.
And the bank. So I don't sit there and stress, that's what a pre-qual is for.
Yeah.
I mean, what a dumb statement that was. People aren't going to want to list their house because they're afraid that these people with poor credit are going to try and buy their house. I thought, oh man, you're so far off.
Well, if somebody's buying a 450, 500, $300 to $500,000 house, it's going to add, let's say half a point on 400,000. It's $2,000. I mean, it's going to add cost to it, and it's just basically, once again, you look at the whole picture. Does it really help anybody? Basically, they're filling the federal, the FHFA coffers, Fannie Mae, Freddie Mac. I mean, they're not taking this money and subsidizing with grants to the lower income people. I mean, there's grants out there, but I don't see them having this program like, hey, everything that we collect from the higher credit, we're going to actually give it to these other people.
I don't see anything in it that says, oh, I've
No.
got lower credit, this is going to help me. I don't see
No.
any. They, instead of, if I understand it right, and tell me if I'm wrong, but if, let's say I got a 620 credit score, okay, normally I would see a higher payment because I'd be punished for that low credit score. So I wouldn't be able to get the great payment, the great rate might be slightly higher. So now they're saying that that's capped. So in other words, you can only raise my rate as a poor credit borrower so far. It's now got a lid on it. Well, that still doesn't help me.
No.
It's
bottom line is, it's just once again a stupid thing that the government's done to try to get a money grab, and it's just frustrating from a mortgage standpoint. We see the direct effects when I do a pricing, I run a pricing scenario, and I kind of look at where the rate would have been had you not built in, say, 50 basis points. It could be a quarter to 3/8 of a point difference. Could be 3/8, like you said, $30, $40, $50 a month, $60 a month. It doesn't help anybody. and that's
Yeah.
what's just, oh God, I want to say some Irish words on here, but I can't. But or
Well,
we'll be
not
banned.
only it doesn't help anybody, but it just makes your job. So, I mean, we showed the chart last week. It makes your hair hurt. We had a question here from Marcus, Pat. If they adjust the inflation target to say 4% instead of 2%, wouldn't the bond market reprice the 10-year? Currently, the bond market seems to be ahead of the Fed in
Yeah,
pricing lower rates.
probably would. I mean, certainly, but I'm just saying, just in terms of this target, that's a deep question. I mean, that's obviously, the bond market also is based on a lot more things, a lot more things than just that target. There's supply and demand. I mean, right now, Silicon Valley Bank, some of these banks have got mortgage-backed security MBS securities in their portfolio. If they start selling them, there's more supply, which leads to lower prices, which leads to higher rates. So there's that supply of MBS securities out there. And that's why there's been somewhat of a disconnect between the MBS market and the Treasury, because typically they kind of go up, together. But sometimes you'll see this disconnect where the gap is a little bit, wider. So
Well, the other problem we have is Chairman Powell is just too busy to get on one of these low volume YouTube channels and answer a few questions. But you know, we've got millions and millions of viewers. I mean, so imagine,
yeah,
if he would just take our calls,
yeah,
that'd be a great show, wouldn't it?
we probably get some views.
We'd probably get some. Um, if he quit clearing his throat. Given an election year looms, I suspect very low interest rates are coming downstream. Powell is just a shrill. Yeah, we could probably go on with that all day, but I don't know. Bernanke's new inflation targeting plan, if applied, would have the target 2 to 4% inflation, not
Yeah,
2%. Yeah, I agree with you. I
yeah,
agree with you. He's
exactly.
also the one that termed the coin helicopter money.
Yeah, yeah.
So, Marcus, you're welcome. I'm glad you could join us. We're on here every Friday at 3 o'clock, and then we do the show on Thursday that airs at 6 o'clock with the four of us. We just simply call that Arizona Real Estate News, and I am on Monday live at 8:30, Tuesday morning at 8:30, and I try to come up with something a little bit different for Sunday night that comes out. So I probably do this too much, you guys. Like I said last night,
I'm glad you
it's
don't. I'm
nice to
glad you
have
don't have a
guests.
life outside of this.
Yeah, you got a motorcycle, you go out and do things, but I am leaving on my trip in a couple of weeks. And guess what? I got invited to join this national real estate YouTube channel. They're out of Maryland. The guy gets tons of views. I got invited to be on their panel on the show, and they said, we do it at Tuesdays. So they sent me the invite today, and it's going to be Tuesday, May 9th. Well, that's when I
There you
leave,
go.
but I will be parked in time to hook up my new satellite dish and try to do the show live with them. So that's coming up. We'll see what happens. But it sounds like it's going to be kind of fun. They're going to be interviewing and talking to realtors all around the country.
Oh,
So
awesome.
yeah, so
Cool
see what
beans.
happens.
All right, buddy.
Hopefully I'll have my signal. So all right, well, have a good one. Take on the
Thanks for
weekend. Take care.
everyone watching. Take care.
See
Bye
you.
bye.